Welcome to your fourth HTML5 tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about tables, but not that kind of table, this kind of table. Tables are used to show tabular data. So for example, if you have data that can be placed in a spreadsheet, a table is a good thing that can be used for showing that data. First, let's start with one thing that tables should not be used for, and that would be the layout of our page. There are a lot of other elements out there that should be used for the layout instead of tables. HTML5 has added a lot of new elements, so we definitely want to use those elements. Now we'll move on to what you should use tables for. So let's say we have a wish list that we want to put on our website. On that list, it would be nice to show the item that we want, the color of it, just in case there's multiple to choose from, the price, the date that we added it, say like we didn't want something that we added like a year ago, and also the rank of how important it is to get the item. So the rank could be a must-have, it could either be nice to have, or it could just be partial, say like we don't really care if we get it or not. We're going to create a table on our website that will show all this data. So let's bring up Chrome and Edit Plus and start creating our code. We'll be putting this table on a separate page just to make it easier to read. So we'll go ahead and create that page now. Okay, well, let's go ahead and save this. We're going to save it as newpage3.html. And also, before we go any further, let's go ahead and add onto our navigation bar as well. So that way, we'll add the same link onto our other two pages, but we'll be able to go to wherever we want on our website. Okay, so let's save all these. And then we're also going to add a section tag as well. And so this is where our table is going to be. Okay, so now that we have our page on here saved, let's see what we have. We'll go ahead and refresh it. We'll click on wish list, which is what our page is going to have. And you see that we have a blank page so far. So everything's good to go there. And now we just need to add our table on. So to add a table, we're going to be using a table tag. And so inside this is going to have all our rows and columns for our table. So for a row, we're going to use TR, and that would stand for table row. And we're also going to be adding a heading as well. Let me make sure that this is tabbed out correctly. And so a table heading would be TH. And so basically, I have this document here. These are going to be our rows. So we're going to have an item, a color, a price, a date added, and also a rank. So we'll add all those rows onto here for the headings. Okay, so we do have our first row on here, and also one other thing that we'll add onto this code is that we're going to be adding an attribute and make the border equal 1. Basically what this is going to do is make sure our table shows a border around it, because most tables have a border around them for that data. So when we refresh the page in Chrome, you see that we have our 5 columns and our 1 row table. Okay, so now that we have that in Chrome, let's go ahead and add some data onto this table. And so basically with our data, we want to add these 2 rows onto it. So let's go ahead and move this over here, and then we'll bring up Edit Plus to add a second row onto our table. And so with our second row, instead of using TH, which is for our heading, we're going to be using TD, which is table data. And this is going to add another row. Well, actually this will add a column, but this tag here is going to add another row. And so each of these would be a column. Okay, let's end our table row as well. And then we'll go ahead and save it, and then bring it up in Chrome. And then you see that we have our item, the color, the price, the date added, and also the rank. Okay, so now that we have that, we'll go ahead and add our second row. And so pretty much what we could do is we just copy and paste this. And then we'll go ahead and just change out the data on here. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and save it. And so now that we have that data in here, we'll go ahead and refresh Chrome, and you see that we have another row of data on here. We can make this page a little bit more awesome by actually having these links that people can click on to go to the product that we want on our wish list. So these are the links on here, and we'll go ahead and just add them in. And then we'll go ahead and save our page. And then when we refresh it in Chrome, you see that we now have 2 links on here. And so if they were to click on the link, it'll bring up the page on here that shows where the item is. And then that way they can just go ahead and buy it. So now that we have the table on our page, I can go ahead and explain on here basically what you would use a table for. So if your data happens to be in this format, this is what you would use a table for. You can see we have a table heading, and also with our data we can add more rows onto it. So this is primarily what tables are built for, is if your data has those 2 things on it. Okay, we're also going to be building a second table on our website, and this is pretty much going to show you another example of what you would use a table for. So we have a song list on here, and this is pretty much going to be like a playlist, you can call it. And so on that we'll have the number it is in our playlist, the song name, the artist, the album, the time, and the year. So that's what our second table is going to be created using. Okay, so let's bring up our favorite friend, Edit Plus, and we're going to be creating our 4th page, and this is going to have our second table onto it. And to save time, what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste the code in here, so that way you don't have to watch me write it out completely. And before we go any further, just so that Edit Plus will color code this, let's go ahead and save it. And we're going to be saving with a new page 4.htm. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and finish copying and pasting. And then so basically all our tags are lined up on here, and that's pretty much what I was making sure of on here. Now that we have that, we'll go ahead and save. Let's also make a couple of other changes on here as well. So we'll want to copy this link, and we're going to be renaming this as song list. Now that we have that, let's go ahead and copy it onto our other pages as well. So that way we'll have a navigation bar on each one of those, and it'll be all updated. And then we'll just save all these documents. Then we'll go ahead and add our table in. Okay, let's go ahead and add our table headings in. So we'll put in our first heading, and then we'll put in the other ones as well. Okay, let's see what we have in Chrome now. We have a link, and it takes us right to our page where we have our first row in our table. Okay, so now that we have our table headings on here, we're actually going to be adding data onto this table. So we'll go ahead and close this. And then this is going to be what our data is going to be in our table. So this is what pretty much it'll look like after we get done. So let's go ahead and add all these rows in. Since we'll be adding 3 rows, I'm going to go ahead and create out the code for the columns of those, and we'll go ahead and copy and paste it 2 more times. And after that, we'll go ahead and put all the data in that we need. Okay, let's go ahead and copy and paste this 2 more times on here. Okay, now that we have everything entered in on there, let's see what we have. Okay, so here's our completed table now. So you can see that we now have a playlist on our website as well. So if anybody wanted to see what type of music that we listen to, they can just click on this link on here, and it'll take us to what our playlist has and all the songs that are on it. Alright, so there's 2 good examples of what a table can be used for. That's about it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we'll be learning how to create just a list of items. So say we have a grocery list and multiple people need to know what is on it, we'll be able to create a page for that so that they can access it on our website.